Thank you. Hello. Good morning. There we go. Hey, does anyone here know Josh Hyland? Josh, I know someone here knows Josh Hyland. Yes, very good. He's got a Shopify tattoo. This is how committed this guy is to his success with Shopify. It's a Shopify tattoo. I am not that cool. I would not get another tattoo. The first one is a bad story, but I won't get another one. So I got the next best thing, which was Shopify license plates. So I thought that was pretty cool. Thought I'd share that with you. All right. My name is Kurt Elster. I started an agency in 2009, and within a few years, I really wanted to tear my hair out with it because we were doing WordPress development, these big WordPress projects for agencies. We did stuff for Verizon, the NFL, Hilton Hotels, these big projects. And at the same time, I had built a Shopify store in, I believe, 2011 for a friend who owned a local bike shop. And Dan Evelet, who runs the partner program, noticed. And he said, hey, do you want to join this new thing? It's called the Experts Program. I said, why not? And within a few years of that, 3 years ago, our Shopify business had grown so much. I said, why are we doing anything else? Why should we do anything but Shopify? So we niched down. For the last 3 years, I've exclusively worked on Shopify. And some of you may know me as the host of the unofficial Shopify podcast, which we just hit. I think that's been going about 2 years. We just hit 320,000 downloads, so very proud of that. Thank you. So in growing a business from like $0 to $50,000 and $50 to $100 and $100 to $50, and as you grow, you quickly discover, like as you get into these six figures, a lot of success is mindset. So much of it is just limitations you've put on yourself and stuff that has to happen up here. So, and I've been thinking a lot about that in the last year, and that's what I want to share with you today. I've got three really mindset shifts, but things that worked really well for me that I want to share with you. And some of them may challenge you a little bit in how you're thinking, but I promise you I'm not going to tell you to do anything that I haven't already done and didn't work for me. There we go. So the first, I want to tell you a quick story. My daughter was born February 8th, and we absolutely love her. She runs the house, but she was born a month early, and on the way out, she tried to kill my wife via preeclampsia. So when my wife was released from the hospital, she had very high blood pressure. And I had to go to the pharmacy, our local Target, and pick up her prescriptions. And they said, the pharmacist wants to talk to you about this. I said, all right. Pharmacist comes out, he goes, listen, I don't know your wife's medical history, but these prescriptions don't make sense. These aren't beginner dosages. And I told him, I said, well, she just had a baby and she has preeclampsia. He goes, that makes more sense. He goes, can I give you a piece of advice? I said, sure. Because a lot of people are giving you advice, right? Because you've got this new baby. I said, yeah, everyone's giving me advice. I said, all right, I've got 2 daughters. You've got a daughter. I've got a great piece of advice for you. Don't listen to anybody's advice. You're the parent. It's your baby. You're going to figure it out. You know what you're doing. You don't have to listen to anybody. I said, that is good advice. I liked it, and that's always sat in the back of my mind. And I started thinking about my business. And we have so much as entrepreneurs emotionally invested in our businesses that our businesses are like our babies. So I have a quick rule for you. And I want you to remember always, it is your business, so do what the fuck you want with it. And I use the profanity here because I want you to remember it, because it's important. Yes, tweet this. Take that picture, tweet this. Kurt says, do what the fuck you want, right? Your business works for you, not the other way around. And so we're going to go through 3 rules today that I think will help you build a business for the lifestyle you want, where your business works for you, and you can do what the fuck you want. This is number 1. Just remember that part, and that's what's going to enable you to achieve these other things. If this clicker worked, that'd be great. There we go. All right, lesson number 1. You may already know this. There are riches in niches. So I'm talking about positioning and laser focusing your business. So early on, we thought, oh, we'll do everything, right? We'll cast the widest net possible. Whatever crazy project you have, we'll work on that, and I'll figure it out. And it was a complete nightmare because there was so much overhead, and it was so tough to learn. And as we figured it out, we started focusing, and one day I just said, you know what? We're just going to do Shopify. I'm the Shopify guy. And within 60 days of I had 500 people on a newsletter. That's all it took. Within 60 days of talking about being the Shopify guy, I started getting referrals from people I didn't know to people I didn't know. That was amazing. And it was because when you niche down, when you have laser-focused positioning, it's easy for people to remember what you do, which means it's easy for them to refer you. You stay top of mind. If it takes you like longer than 10 seconds to explain what you do not expect anyone to ever remember what you do. Whereas if I just go, I help Shopify store owners make more money. I find hidden profits in their stores. I'm like, where's those profits? They go under the couch, let's go find them, right? And people remember that because it's quick and it's easy. But you don't want to just niche down, like you want to go where the money is, right? But you also want to love what you do. So for us, we were doing this wide variety of projects, but every time we finished a Shopify project, we thought, well, gee, that was easy. It wasn't that it was easy, it was that we loved it, right? And it just so happened that there were people who liked our approach and were willing to give us money for it. So we had found the overlap of what we loved and what we could sell. And if you can find that in your life and in your business, then that passion is going to drive you. It is going to make running your business dramatically easier. Did I go backwards? I went backwards. Okay. So I have seen people like trying to focus their business and niche down with it, they struggle with it. I've seen people literally break down in tears when I coach freelancers at the idea of like, I'm going to write a single sentence that will determine what I do for the rest of my life. This is not the case. Your positioning is just a sentence that lives on as a headline on a website and in your head, and you can revise it any time. I have probably been through 24 positioning statements. So I have a quick formula for you. I stole this from my friend Jonathan Stark. And he goes, you write this down. You go, I help target market, so I help Shopify store owners achieve benefit, right? So I help Shopify store owners find hidden profits in their websites. So it's kind of a clever way of saying, we're going to help you make more money, all right? And then if you want to get fancy, you can add a competitive advantage. So I go, well, unlike my competitors, unlike other designers, and then competitive advantage. So mine is, I'm solely concerned with return on investment, right? If tweaking fonts and colors on your website is not going to move the needle on your business, then I'm not interested in doing it. So that's where you want to have that clear definition of what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and why you're different. Come on. There it goes. So the next thing, once you have that clear positioning statement and you know what it is you're doing and who you're doing it for and why, it becomes easy to start offering productized services, which productized service, productized consulting, it's an awkward, fancy word for, hey, I've got a fixed price and a fixed scope. So here you go, like if you're in the Shopify ecosystem, you have probably set up a store for someone, or you have set up a theme. There is a very clear outcome and deliverable there. You can define a clear scope of work. I hope you're writing standard operating procedures for what you do. You can write out a clear scope of work and then stick a price tag on it. And then do something really that will terrify you. Put that up on your website. Say, here's the package, this is what we offer, this is what it costs. My agency website, ethercycle.com, has a page on it called pricing, ethercycle.com/pricing. And on it, that's the second most viewed page on the entire site. People go look at it, they see exactly what we offer, exactly what it costs, and then by the time I get on a sales call with them, there is no negotiation, there is no back and forth. It is simply determining if we're a good fit. Does it make sense? Will we get along? Are we friends? Will you make a good client or not? I ask them to apply to work with me, not the other way around. And when you have published prices like that, it democratizes it. So if you've ever bought a used car at CarMax, that's their entire pitch, is there is no negotiations. The price is the price. You will actually pay more to buy a used car at CarMax, but people love it. They will go do it for the convenience that they don't have to haggle on their pricing. So switching to this fixed price model means I couldn't tell you the last time I wrote a proposal because it's already on the website. When I get off a sales call and we've decided to work together, it is literally, I just send them a payment link to pay in full with a credit card. And it makes the entire process so much easier. So stop overcomplicating these things. Lesson two, what the heck? Oh no. All right. This thing is possessed, I swear. You gotta set firm boundaries. So we've all heard this phrase, good fences make good neighbors, right? I love this phrase. The same is true of clients. You need to set boundaries with your clients to maintain your sanity, right? To maintain work-life balance. This is a real text message I got last Thanksgiving from a Shark Tank contestant, a guy who had been on Shark Tank. He was a client. He texts me on Thanksgiving, doesn't even acknowledge that it's Thanksgiving, and says, hey, do you know my MailChimp password? No, man, I don't know your MailChimp password. Also, it's Thanksgiving. This is totally inappropriate. But if you think about it, did I ever tell him not to text me on Thanksgiving? So, like, should I be... Yeah, he should have known, but should I really be surprised? Like, I need to take the blame that I didn't set that boundary, that it's not okay to text me on Thanksgiving. So one of the first things I do, once someone has signed up as a client, they've paid, they then get a link to our onboarding form. So I have a page where I give people everything they need to know about working with me. And one of those items is defining my availability, if this would change slides. Work with me here. Come on, there we go. So defining my availability. So I define what days I work. And one of them is I say, listen, I work Monday through Thursday. I'm not going to work on weekends. And Fridays I reserve as personal development days for flex days for my working on my own business. And listen, I'll give you an out. If you want me to work on those days outside that time, that's fine. But it is going to cost you $500 an hour. So there's kind of like a key there. Is no one can get mad that you have made yourself unavailable as long as you give them that out, because it forces them to decide, is it worth it when you set up that boundary. This is very helpful. Another thing, we set up hours, right? So I specify, we work 9 to 5 Central Standard Time. And then I admit, hey, listen, I'm bad at time zones, so you're going to want to figure the time zone out, because I will not. I'm not. It's the terrible marriage of arithmetic and geometry. I can't do it. So we define, like, I say, hey, nights and weekends, those are reserved for my family. I give them a reason, right? Like, if I work at night, my wife is going to be mad at me, all right? So I tell people that up front in this onboarding document. And then you can also define how often you respond to email. So I saw something scary. So, like, there's a dude on a laptop, a couple people on laptops right now, people on phones, but I stood right up there and I looked down, and there were 12 people on laptops. And like, these screens are big and nice on MacBooks. I could see what you're doing from up there. We got people on Slack, we have people in Gmail. That's it. So you guys paid to come here and you're responding to emails. It's the dumbest thing in the world. What happens if you don't respond to those emails? Nothing. Nothing bad will happen. Nothing urgent or important will come through in an email. If it was, they would call you or give them someone else they could talk to. But I haven't checked my email once today, and I'm still standing. I haven't died. I haven't lost any clients. Nothing terrible has happened. So start living right now. Like, you guys are crazy. I get riled up about this because I still today struggle with email. I play a mental game with myself where I just go, I'm unwilling to check my email. Memorize that phrase, I'm unwilling. And then you can define in your head what you're not willing to do right then. So if I'm working on a project and I get distracted, I might open up my inbox, right? I've got ADD. I'm on amphetamines right now to focus. It's true. That's why I talk so fast. So no, I'll just say to myself, listen, I'm unwilling to check my email. And to help enable that, like, what's the fear? The fear that you guys keep checking your emails. Like, I'm gonna miss something, and if I don't respond fast enough, someone will be mad at me. It isn't the case. You've made up that anxiety in your head. The expectation that people have is that you'll respond within 24 hours. So in that onboarding document where I define availability, I say, listen, I check my email twice a day. So don't, if I check it more than that, great, but don't expect anything more than that. I've never had a single person get mad at me because I didn't reply to their email within an hour. And if that did happen, I would take them to the principal's office and we would have a discussion about polite behavior. And then the other issue is people calling you, right? Like, you're doing work, your head's down, you're in the flow, and the phone rings. Man, when someone calls you, they're saying to you one thing: I don't care what you're doing right now. I don't even need to know what you're doing right now, because whatever I have to say, maybe it's my MailChimp password's missing, whatever I have to say is more important than whatever you were doing. That's what unscheduled phone calls say to me. So I tell them in the onboarding form, listen, to maximize productivity, I can't take unscheduled phone calls. Now here's the thing, I sound like, maybe I sound like a hard ass and I'm setting up all these things about how important I am and all these things you can't do and how I work. No, all that has ever done is gain respect. When you set these firm boundaries, people will respect you more for it. It's gonna make your life easier. And it's kind of interesting, when I get on the phone with people, they'll often say, like, Kurt, thank you for your time, I know you're so busy. They have made the assumption that I set up all these boundaries because I must be so busy. No, I would be so busy with interruptions, but I've set up these boundaries. Now I have a very relaxed day. I can work productively. It's fantastic. Did I miss anything? No. You could check out an example of this at ethercycle.com/onboarding is the basic onboarding form. We'll have this info. And that one you can feel free to rip off. I don't care. All right. Okay. So this is it's hard to read. I didn't know that it's going to be low contrast. But this is take a picture of this, use it when you onboard clients. Say, and adapt it, make it work for you. So I say something like, we reserve Fridays as personal development days, while nights and weekends are reserved for our families. If you have an extremely urgent issue, we're available at a rush fee of $500 an hour for work occurring outside standard hours. Do you know how many times people have paid that rush fee? One time, and I was happy to take their $500 to do an hour of work on a Saturday morning. But outside of that, suddenly when you attach a price tag to problems, they don't become quite so important for people. If they're like, oh, we got to take the sale banner down. I need to update the carousel that no one looks at. On a Sunday. Okay, well, that's really important, right? Yeah, it got to happen. All right, it's $500. Yeah, it could wait till Monday. Every single time. So I started putting it up front in this onboarding form, and then magically, even if I get an email on the weekend, it'll be, I'm just sending you this right now before I forget. It can wait till Monday. Great, perfect. All right. Lesson 3, my friends, charge more, right? No, it's not lesson 3. It's part of the availability. By charging more, the heck, where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. All right. So charging more is going to get you a better quality of clients, flat out. I guarantee, every freelancer I've ever talked to doesn't charge enough. They undervalue their services every time. I was guilty of this too. So I don't care how much you charge. Doesn't matter what your hourly rate is, whatever it is, just go ahead and double it. If you are booked solid, that's what I do. Every time I'm booked solid, all our prices magically go up, often by double. Whereas, I was talking to a lawyer, and he goes, he was charging $170 an hour or something like that. He goes, I got to raise my prices. And I said, well, why don't you just raise your prices? He goes, well, I need to get X, Y, and Z experience first, and I need to finish this big project and get this big client. I said, it's your business. You do what the fuck you want. Just go double the prices. It's literally just a number you made up. Double the prices. And people will decide if they want to pay for you or not. And often when you have higher prices, people will just go ahead and justify to themselves why you charge that. But ultimately, it leads to just a better working relationship. So if you are treated as an issue of supply and demand, if you are booked, every time you get booked solid, that means you have run out of time. There is no way to get more time. So go ahead, raise your prices, and give yourself some more time. I am a miss manners, especially in email. I believe in watching my tone in emails, and I think this is important. This happened when I had a client. I did some maintenance work. She was very happy with it, and I asked for a review. And she said, Kurt, I can write you a review, but it's going to be neutral, and I'll tell you why. You did the work. You did it right. You did it on time. The price was fair. But when it was finished, you sent me an email that just said, done. And it was because I was busy. I was in a rush. So I'm like, well, it's done. So I sent an email that said done. So I started using email templates. And I love this tool called Text Expander. This is the coolest thing ever. So now if I type ;done, it auto-completes into this very nice message saying, hey, we finished your project. Here's a link to go view it. And we need feedback. And here's a guide on how to give feedback, right? So doing that, switching to those email templates and always putting my best foot forward and being super professional and super nice in email helps clients do what? Do the same in return. People are going to treat you as you treat them. So taking this Emily Post Miss Manners approach to all of my communications helps a lot. And in email, I saw up there, you're all in Gmail, right? It's impossible to read tone in email. So here's one tip I want you to all do right now. Every time you send out an email, right? So I say, don't check my email after 5. The next morning when I send out the email, replying to the stuff that came in the night before, I always start it with the same thing. Hope you had a great evening. Now that sets the tone for the whole email and acknowledges that, yeah, I intentionally waited until the next morning to reply to your email. So I have that as a text expander snippet. I type ;hope, and then it has a drop-down menu for evening, weekend, holiday. Let's go, hope you, yeah, right? So now I can work just as quickly and be just as terse as I want to be, but it's auto-completes into these very nice Emily Post-esque phrases. So do that. Put your best foot forward, and if you don't have the time or the patience to write out nice emails every time, like I don't always, then use email templates. And I saw you're all in Gmail. Use canned responses. It's free. It's built into Gmail. Or if you want to be fancy like me, get Text Expander. Come on. Just use the keyboard. There we go. All right. Lesson 3, be yourself. So I have a master's in business, and then I got a certificate of integrated marketing from the University of Chicago. And when I got done with all that higher education, I could not string a coherent sentence together to save my life. It was all this god-awful business prose. I hated it. And it was just, it was gross. I didn't like it. So I had to rediscover my own voice, start using my authentic voice again. And it took years, but I learned the more of my actual self I put into our brand, I put into everything we do, the more people are likely to buy. They like that. Like, think about this. You have big brands like Target, and let's say they hire someone totally nuts like Maria Bamford, who I love, as their spokesperson. Why did this big brand do that? Well, because people don't buy from logos, they buy from other people, right? I don't relate to the bullseye Target logo. You are all small business owners. Be the face of your brand, and whatever you like, what you love, roll that into your business and use your authentic voice. Because if you're writing this gross business prose, then when someone gets on a phone with you, they're going to say, who is this guy? They don't know. Whereas when I get on the phone with someone, because of my YouTube videos, my screencasts, my podcasts, webinars, skill, like everything in which I am myself, as I am now, people will often say, Kurt, I feel like I already know you. I say, you do, right? Because you have been through this, and I have been myself in all these things. I have been honest with you. Now, some of you are going to start stealing my stuff. You're going to go to easycycle.com, go, this guy's got it figured out, and just like copy my sales letter. And then I will find you. I pay for a service that will go and send you a cease and desist. But don't do that, right? It's the same problem. If you use other people's content, it is not your voice, right? So you could take inspiration, everything. Pablo Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal, everything is a remix, that kind of thing. So take inspiration from it, piece together, like build a swipe file of copy you like, piece it together, and read it through 3 times. And then erase it and write it yourself. And now when you write it yourself, it's going to be filtered through your voice. It will sound like you. So don't be afraid of it. Every time I've been afraid to include more of myself in my business, it's always paid off. It has always been good. And then use a content medium you like, right? We all know that like, oh, we got a blog. I got to blog every week. I got to send a newsletter out. I got to write Facebook posts. And it becomes this terrible chore. It's because oftentimes people don't like writing. So maybe it isn't that it's a chore. You just haven't found a medium you like. There's tons of other mediums. So I don't particularly love writing. Sometimes I get inspired and I'll write. But I find I'm really good at podcasts. I like it. I can kind of riff, do a monologue. I like it. So I started podcasting. And then now this podcast, it's 320,000 downloads. That's amazing. And it's something I look forward to. It's something I love doing. So if your marketing isn't something you love, stop doing it. Stop giving yourself homework. Just experiment with other stuff. There is no cost to do it. Even if you fail, big deal. It just means you right back where you started. Experiment, find a medium you love. So like webinars, YouTube videos, Facebook Live, the podcast again. There's so much you could do that isn't blogging that might be something you love instead. And along the way, embrace your authentic voice, right? So just stop trying to be someone else. Be you, and at most, just be 20% more you, right? Just be a more energetic, extreme version of yourself as I am now. There we go. And in it, let your freak flag fly, my friends. Include your likes and dislikes and hobbies, etc. One of the things I hated, I don't like rude people. I don't like people who pay their bills late. So I included that in my sales letter. It literally says, we're not a good fit if I don't like you, right? And literally no one has ever questioned that. They're just like, yeah, that makes sense, and they just go along with it. No one ever mentions it. But no one else says that. It's like, we don't have to like each other. No, we do. Like, I don't want it to be a chore. I want to enjoy working with you, and we're all going to get a better quality of work out of it. But include your likes and dislikes in there, right? Like, I'm a car guy at heart. I'm building a Thomas the Tank-themed race car right now. It's a little crazy, among other things. I've included that in my YouTube videos. I've talked about it in my newsletters. When I got engaged, I sent that out to a newsletter of 2,000 people before I posted it on Facebook, right? I share myself with my audience, and then people engage in it, they like it, they share back. It's engaging, they love it. So it works well, and it makes me feel good. It's easy to write about what you love, what you know. So don't be afraid of it, include that, right? So I like cars, so I said, I'm gonna do a YouTube series. All right, cool. And I took my iPhone, I zip-tied it to my sun visor, and now every week I drive to the gas station in my car with my Shopify license plates, just because it's what I like to do. And I just riff for 10 minutes, I do a little monologue while I'm going to get gas on like something cool I learned in e-commerce or Shopify that week, right? And it's what I like, so it's what I do. And then people who are into cars will recognize it immediately and go, oh, is that like, it turns into a conversation. And now that's how you end up like, Jay Leno is one of my clients. And they tell me, hey, we love working with you because we know you know cars. They only know that because I put that out there with myself. I didn't know that's what the outcome would be. So ultimately, we're going to recap here, like all of those things, just you do you, boo-boo, right? Be yourself, put yourself forward, fiercely defend your free time, and things will be much easier. Define your niche, number one, right? Write that positioning statement, figure it out, and the first time you write it, it's going to be hard, and you're going to go too broad. So if you want to run positioning statements past me, please. I love working on that stuff. It's a lot of fun. But it took me probably over 20 tries to get my positioning statement right. And here's a good one for you. Which sounds better? I'm a lawyer or I'm a dog lawyer, full stop. If you're at a party, you go, I'm a dog lawyer, the person has to ask what's next. And they're going to remember, like, man, like, oh, something happened with my dog. I got to call that dog lawyer. Like, that's the power of positioning. And two, defend your free time. Like, I'm watching you guys checking your emails up here while you paid, what, like $150 to be here. That's nuts. So start setting those boundaries, defend your free time, and feel no guilt. Like, you want to go do your thing on nights and weekends? Please do that. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't be checking your email, trying to work 12 hours a day. Your brain is not a Tesla. It is much more like a Model T. You just can't work these crazy days that you think you can. So dial it back, make some time for yourself. And lastly, be yourself. And if you do all of that stuff, you're going to be able to build a business that fits the life you want once you let go of that guilt and started enabling yourself. And it is a lot of work. For me, it took years to figure this stuff out. And that's why I'm sharing it with you. But ultimately, it is the difference between having, working 12-hour days for a $30,000 income and working 4 days a week and taking home $250,000. So, once you do this stuff, go out there, go buy a boat, treat yourself, right? And lastly, questions. And if you head to my website, kurtelster.com, sign up for any newsletter. If you send me a thoughtful email, I will always be happy to send you a thoughtful response. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kurt. That's awesome.